Welcome, everybody. This is Ken Tucker with Changescape Web, and this is the Marketing Guides for Small Businesses podcast. Believe it or not, we're at episode 79, which is really pretty cool and amazing. And today I'm joined by our regular panelists. Today we've got Paul, Ian, Dan, and Jen. So welcome, guys.
Hey.
It's really hard to believe, but 2022 is barreling down at us. I mean, it is literally around the corner. And the world has changed so much over the last 2 years. Some of it was already coming, some of it was accelerated, some of it had to be completely reinvented because of, the world situation that's going on. I wanted to talk to you guys about how should businesses start to prepare for effective marketing in 2022, because there's been a lot of change. I mean, technology changes have accelerated and changed the way you're doing certain things. Obviously, business and customer behaviors have both changed. So what should people be thinking about changing or embracing? What's going to stay the same or largely the same? And what are things that you just need to write out that you really can't control? I think, there's just really, it's kind of a cool topic. It's massive. So we could literally keep coming back to this probably once a month. But we're gonna do our best to kind of cover some of the highlights. Today, I'm going to start with you, Jen. Regarding social media, I mean, there's a lot going on with social media. The mistrust and the number of people I hear saying that they hate social media or a particular platform gets a lot of negative comments these days, which I will not mention. But a lot of people are like, really, is this the year that social media just kind of becomes a meh kind of a strategy? Or are there still ways that businesses can plan and effectively use social media for 2022? What do you think?
What do I think? It's a big question for sure. Yeah. And it's funny, even before everything or some of the negative things happened this year with social media. I don't know about you guys, but in all of my marketing consulting career, there has been no other channel that has been so passionately commented on other than social media. I mean, if you suggest any other type of channel of promotion, I would, in pre-COVID times, I would gather that nobody is turning up their nose at trade shows or giving you a 5-minute diatribe about why trade shows aren't for them, as they will with social media. So that's the thing. So that's a landmine there for sure. Love it, hate it, love certain channels, hate certain channels. Certain channels are not for us, right? We've heard it all for sure. So is this the year that social media becomes a meh kind of channel? I don't think so. I mean, certainly a lot of the ugliness has come out about it for sure. But I don't see the channels going away. Definitely going to morph, and definitely it's kind of a buyer beware, or look what you're getting into, or know what you're getting into. Kind of realization for sure. But you have to think about, again, it's not about your business. It's about your customer, your potential customer. Where are they? And whether you love, hate the channel that they are on, you got to be there. So that's
a great point. You shouldn't let your own personal bias dictate maybe one of the most potent channels that you could use.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. The other thing is, in your line of questioning, you have, what channel should people be focusing on? That's a bit of a slippery slope. That's a little bit of shiny object syndrome, right? Because if you haven't gotten into the flow of having success on at least one channel, and success could come in two different ways. One is the reaction, but internally, what are we posting? What is our strategy? Are we into a good rhythm? Do we do that right? Do we look at our analytics? How's it going? If you haven't got that process down pat on at least one channel, going off to the next 6 that we're going to see, really rise this year, that's not going to be helpful for you. So what I would say to that is the channels that you're on, evaluate if they're working for you or not, for one. And what we've seen with a lot of the channels is different features come out. So do you really need to move to a different channel? channel right yet, or do you really need to double down on one channel? And one, I'll give you an example of LinkedIn. We've got a couple of our clients that were just allowed live video. So are they going to go there? Or are they going to go over to TikTok and do, live video there? So where are you most comfortable? What's making sense for you right now? And really get familiar with some of the new features that are coming in on the channels you're already on, and see if they can work for you. And a good thing about that is you're taking your existing audience with you. Your team, yourself is familiar with that channel. So to go into another feature on that same channel isn't, a whole new learning curve, and something that's totally approachable.
Yeah. Yeah. Paul, I have to say, Paul's TikTok channel is just superb.
Is it really?
The dancing blue dot is
I
just
have more faith in TikTok than a certain other platform. I'll tell you that much.
so yeah, I mean, honestly, there's always the temptation of, what's the next greatest, channel coming up. And, we've seen it with Snapchat, we've seen it with TikTok. Instagram is really kind of the last one that got legs and made a really serious impact. So I think it's important that people realize we probably have the channels that we need right now. There are nuances, and as you said, Jen, I mean, really one of the most critical things is it where your customers or potential clients already are? That's the key. And then you've got to, knowing that, now you figure out strategies on how to most effectively use it. I don't really see any new channel coming up that's going to, Clubhouse, everybody was going crazy about that. Yeah. Typical small business owner, it's just not going to happen. I don't see anything on the horizon coming up at this point.
It's always, I think one of the things that people are, we probably talked about this just a few days ago. I think Ian mentioned it, is that, it'll be interesting to see how much small business gets squeezed out by social media in terms of paid. I don't think it's necessarily there yet, but it's getting a lot harder. LinkedIn ads were always kind of expensive to begin with, but Facebook ads, to see success, it could be more challenging, especially when you consider that it's not the only thing that they should be doing. We know that much. I mean, you can't put all your eggs in that basket. So it'll be something for us to keep an eye on, because as part of an overall marketing agenda, if you're going to go suddenly spend, instead of hundreds, thousands of dollars, well, the reality is that a lot of small businesses don't have that kind of money. They don't have money to just say, okay, I'm going to put thousands over here for Facebook ads, and then I'm going to put another bunch of thousands over here. No. It's more like, let's take, say, $3,000 and see how we're going to stretch it into a lot of other stuff. So that's the reality that we're going to be faced with in 2022 for a lot of small businesses, I think, is this an option? And if so, we're going to have to get really, really smart and targeted and laser focused about making it a success, and then yanking it pretty quickly, because that can get, more than anything I've seen, that can add up in a hurry. So
Yeah, and Paul, if I remember right, I think we're going to do a deeper dive on a session you're going to be leading here in a couple of weeks on social media for 2022, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So we'll certainly revisit this and go deeper into it, and maybe explore, the opportunities around each of the channels a little bit more in that episode. Ian, what role do you think that being found by search is going to play for 2022? Is it going to become more or less important? And do you think that this is going to be something that's going to apply across pretty much any business?
Yeah, I love this question. I love SEO, so thanks for teeing me up with this question. I would say it's never been more important. I think showing up in search results of the qualified buyers that are searching for you is just the smartest thing you could possibly do. The day people stop searching online for information is the day you should stop investing in SEO, right? Truthfully, like if until then, as with any successful marketing strategy, you need to be where your customers are, just like what Jen was saying for social media. And the fact is that our customers, regardless of what the top of the funnel activity is, whether it's through ads or referrals, whether it's other ways they might come through to us through social media, the chances are they are going to Google your business name, the product or service you're offering. Probably if it's a local business, they're going to be searching within their locale because they want a local provider. And so that's what a search engine can offer up to you as a business, is to just tee up these qualified buyers in a beautiful way. But it takes work and it takes effort. Um, you know, so, I think your SEO efforts, just as kind of another piece to that puzzle, your SEO efforts can actually help you drive your content strategy, which is, what content of value are you going to be using across your omni channels, your various channels like social media, your email marketing, on your website and blog posts, all of that kind of stuff. So SEO, because you're basically looking at what are people searching for now related to my products or services. That is a beautiful way for creating a content plan. Um, and ultimately that helps your SEO efforts as well. The last thing I'd want to add to this, looking at it from multiple angles, is the other side of the equation is how much business do you want to relinquish to your competitors? Because if you're not showing up at the top of your search rankings, chances are your competitors are, and you're gift wrapping opportunities to them, and you're losing those opportunities. So it's I would say it's more important than ever.
Do you think there's been a shift in behavior of people looking for products or services over the last year and a half or 2 years because of the economic situation that and the health situation we've all been dealing with?
100%. Whereas there may have been more organic options of, discovering a restaurant or discovering a dentist, or you're out driving more. Because of COVID, searching has gone way up. Leveraging digital media and also the competitive aspect. One thing we've noticed for sure with all of our clients is that the competition of those clients started to get their act together over 2020, 2021, because they realized if they're not digitally strategically found, that they're losing opportunities. And so I think it's fantastic. I think competition breeds better efforts on behalf of all of us. And it also separates out the people that strategically understand, how do I make myself unique and different in the industry, whereas the others might just do more plug and play options.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, the questions that I'm asking today all kind of feed into each other in certain aspects. And one of the things that I think is we all love, and we've talked about it before here, is video marketing. So Dan, for the average business owner, is video going to become even more important in 2022? And also, while you're kind of addressing it, weigh in on whether or not live video is really here to stay, if it's more important, or if it's just going to be something that's going to kind of fade away and is in the trend.
Yeah, that's great question. I think video is going to become more important than ever, in the way of, just wrote about this yesterday, actually. There's about 8 different types of video content that people can do as far as directions, from how to product demonstrations to all kinds of different ways you can cut a certain video. And so I think those options kind of give us this nice palette for different ways we can do video. But then on top of it, there's now more options for using video to embed right in our prospecting. So for example, on LinkedIn, Vidyard has a pretty cool way that you can just, like, if I'm writing a message to you, I can just go on the Vidyard extension and just pop a video in there, and away you go. And you're just like, hey, Ken, great to meet you here and connect and whatnot. And a minute later, you're done. So you think about that and you go, gosh, okay, well, how hard would it really be for me to just record that like in some different ways and be personalized and just get it out there and get it done? And so I don't think everybody necessarily knows that those options even exist. They probably don't even know, that you can use things like Loom and Vidyard together for different purposes, such as screen sharing and doing product demos. So I only see more of that happening. I don't see anything like that going away. In fact, even some accompanying tools that video can do now to make it easier. The big hang up was, like whenever I would help a client shoot some video, it would always be like, oh, I screwed up. Sorry, I got to do it all over again or something. Well, besides not doing that, I think one of the better products that I like to use sometimes is two things. I like to use like a teleprompter tool that doesn't look like they're looking over here at a teleprompter.
Sure.
So that right now is a big breakthrough because nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to know that you're looking at it. It's right here on screen, like I'm looking at you.
Are you using one right now?
No, yeah, not yet. No. But that's really cool because it allows us to have a presence. We can actually plan out some video in a cool way. Literally, this is how crazy easy it is. I did this for my 7-year-old, and she goes, "Oh, can I do a video too?" And I'm like, "All right, fine." We threw up a teleprompter of her talking about unicorns, and there she is in front of a green screen 10 minutes later, and she has a video that we send out. So, if I can do that for a 7-year-old, I'm pretty sure we can do it pretty easily for businesses. That's how far we've come. Now, as far as live video, I don't think that's going away at all either. If anything, I play in the LinkedIn sandbox a lot, I know, so I'm going to mention that. But LinkedIn Live right now is something that is going to be rolled out more than it even is, as far as everyone will have that option. Everyone will be able to apply for it. That means you can apply for it on your personal profile, but you're also going to be able to apply for it on your company page. So if you think about it, just what opportunities exist there so that every time you go live, bing, there it is, like, hey, Ian Cantill's talking about this. And suddenly all of your people you're connected to know that Ian Cantill's talking now. It's a big deal. And you can embed that in your newsletter. So that's pretty cool. That's not going away at all. And so I think pretty much everybody in some form or fashion should look at that video. One last thing that did come to mind though, Zoom is going to, we're all going to be in this COVID world in 2022. I don't think that's going to go away. So some people are saying, well, gosh, how do I do this? Like, you can't come to my office or something, maybe we can't be in person. It's okay. What I've found is that you can do some pretty nice Zoom interviews with people, and you can take yourself out of the picture and just ask them a series of questions, and then you might have to edit certain stuff like your questions later, but then they've got themselves a really nice video they can use on their site, their social media, anything. So I wouldn't let anybody, tell you that, oh, you can't do video because you can't bring a camera into your office or something.
Right.
Zoom has made that possible now.
Yeah. So are there fail safes? I've been watching episodes of Seinfeld on Netflix lately, and one of the things that they seemed like was kind of a go-to kind of a thing for a while was leaving voicemail messages that you probably didn't want to really leave. And I think there are a lot of fears about people if they do a video or something like that, especially if it's going to be live, which obviously there are real challenges with doing anything live. But some of these technologies, like you were talking about, sending a LinkedIn video message, Are there fail safes to keep you from leaving that, oops, I didn't really mean to leave that voicemail kind of a thing?
Yes, yes. I think on like we'll take Vidyard as an example. Pretty sure that you are able to, like if you were, I know for a fact, like this and Loom, I've screwed up many times when I'm trying to record something, and I'm like and I just discard it right there. So no, you pretty much can just say, okay, this is good now. I feel good about it. In fact, you can even on Loom and Vidyard trim your videos, so you can edit
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah.
It used to be, believe it or not, when that stuff first rolled out, especially Loom, you couldn't do that.
Mm.
So spring for the $10 for Loom Pro,
Yeah.
get that, get that going, and you'll never have to worry about, that look in a certain way or anything that you don't like.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's move from video to voice. Paul, what's going on with voice search? Is it still growing? And if it is, or if it's still important or going to be continue to be important, what should a business do to take advantage of that as a trend if it is growing? And again, is this something that's going to apply to only certain businesses, or apply maybe more so to certain businesses? But just kind of talk about that.
Yeah, it is growing. What's interesting is where and with who it's growing. Um, Obviously, you would expect it to be growing with the younger demographics, but it's also growing with the older demographics, probably because it's a lot easier to talk into your phone for a search than to type something in. And it's growing more on mobile. And also, it's growing. Most voice searches tend to happen. There's an interesting study came out a while back. Can't remember who did it, but it most voice searches are done when people are at home by themselves. They're not even doing a lot of voice searches when they're at home with family members. Read that however you want. But and it seems that the 24 to 35 demographic is the most unconcerned about doing voice searches in public. Doesn't seem to bother even sitting in the theater. They don't care. So I thought that was interesting, but it is going to continue to grow, but that doesn't mean that you focus solely on that, because there's still traditional search is still dominant. But as far as how to prepare for it, it is different from an SEO perspective, because people, when they do voice searches, it's completely different, and they tend to ask questions. It's a lot more long tail keywords, that the search query is longer because you don't have to type it in. And so keep in mind that your traditional keyword research tools are going to apply less to voice search, because they're just not really incorporating that yet. And yeah, it can certainly apply to all businesses, because it's not so much about the business, it's about who is your target demographic, who's your target. If your target audience is using voice search, that's all that matters. Then you need to start optimizing for it. I wouldn't make that a priority right now at this point, but I would start, because it has to do with the way you write content. You have to use more long tail keywords. You have to write in a more conversational tone, because that's what, at least at this point, and I'm sure this will change 50 times by the end of the day, but that's what Google's algorithm is looking for, is when their voice search algorithm looks for results based on a voice search, it's looking for that more conversational content, the long tail keywords, simply because the searches are more specific in voice search.
So do you think, I mean, a lot of things come to my mind when I think about what I use voice search for. I mean, I ask, hey, who's this song by? Or what's the name of this song? Where it's just really purely informational. I'm just trying, and I don't even really care where the result comes from. I just want a quick answer. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. So I think that's got to be a big explosion in the voice search volume. But, in terms of asking directions or, finding things near me, or even like we talked about earlier with Ian's, topic on the importance of SEO and being found in search, how-to questions. Do you think that those are big factors? And is it more important for local, or do you really think, even national businesses or e-commerce businesses benefit from voice search?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because like you just said, how with voice search, near me is actually used more in voice search than traditional search. And how do I, like you just said, is used more. If people type it in, they tend to type in how to do this. But when they're doing voice search, they say, how do I do this?
Hmm.
So
Okay.
it's those little nuances. And from an informational standpoint, yeah, we were just talking to a client about this the other day, because they sell products nationwide, and the informational content, Google doesn't really care where you are located, where that answer comes from. If all I want to know is how to do something, Google simply wants to return the most comprehensive content to that query, because I'm not asking where do I buy this or where is this business located. I just want to know how to do something. And that is purely informational, because there's different type of search queries, navigational, informational, transactional. We won't go into that today, but informational content will have the broadest reach. Now, when you get into local searches, even with voice search, there's things you can do with your Google My Business page that is somewhat there, and Google is still incorporating a lot of things, but you're going to be able to leverage your GMB page, well, your Google property now, but you're going to be able to leverage that in voice search as well. And
Yeah.
that's something that's coming.
Okay, cool. So Jen, I kind of mentioned e-commerce in my question to Paul, but it's become really hot, and it appears that it's really only continuing to grow and accelerate. Yet most businesses today, still don't really sell anything online.
Mhm.
But do you have any thoughts on how businesses who don't sell online and really don't want to put like a product set online for people to purchase can still take advantage of the desire for people to kind of want to do that buy online kind of a thing?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and becoming really hot. I've heard a stat that I guess, we have come 10 years in basically 18 months as far as the
Wow.
adoption of e-commerce, or the rampant ramp up of e-commerce.
Hmm.
So more people feeling much more comfortable purchasing online than they did previously. This is pre-COVID, and also too the types or the breadth of what they are purchasing online has absolutely increased. So with that, you have to think just naturally, if you had never ordered groceries online before, had never really, thought about ordering your shampoo and all that kind of stuff, say on subscription by Amazon before, and you're doing that now, just naturally, it's just going to raise your comfort level with searching for more and more things online. So when you ask about companies that don't sell online, so for example, it would be a service or a product that couldn't be delivered. When I say product that couldn't be delivered, I'm thinking big ticket item. And sometimes that has been a pushback for, we sell things that are very expensive that you don't just, check off a box and enter your credit card number in. And
Right.
I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but yachts come to mind, right? Most people aren't going to, just buy online. However, a tremendous amount of research is going to be done online, aside from, seeing the product in person for sure. Um, as for companies that sell things or services that can't possibly be bought online, I would recommend that you feed into the comfort level with obtaining something online, be it, I mean, we're all familiar with ebooks and whatnot. Checklists can be helpful, but also as well, having a substantial amount of information online about what it is that you do, what it is like to work with you, maybe extended information about the services that you provide. So it can feel that that need to research, and that it can help with the comfort level that many more people feel about searching online. So that's certainly what I'd recommend. We're advising some of our clients to incorporate some of the more checklist downloads, and really expand out some of the content about what it's like to onboard, what your first month with us is like, what your second month is like, different types of milestones and whatnot. So that there's really a good chunk of information there when someone comes to
Yeah.
look at your company.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I think about a variety of different things, anywhere from an attorney, or a CPA, where they're really trusted positions and you really want to have a chance to meet somebody and kind of get to know them before you're going to definitely hire them.
Mm.
Or even people booking appointments for somebody to come out and take a look at the roof. Um, you know, I think automated booking calendar functionality
Mm.
on a website is kind of that online purchase kind of a thing. You don't have to ask for money, but you're getting somebody to make a commitment to say, yeah, I want you to come out to my house, or I want to schedule this appointment with you. So I even think that, and we've seen that explode across the board for pretty much any business. If you're not doing an automated booking calendar, you need to figure that out. You need to get that done and in place ASAP, because you are missing opportunities. And I don't care what industry it is. I don't care if you sell a service that's a highly trusted, position, like from an attorney or a financial advisor, or if it's to come out and take a look at roof damage after a hailstorm or something like that.
Mm.
You really have to implement that. And I think that's just indicative of the fact that, as you said, people are so much more comfortable buying things online.
Yeah.
They're also not wanting to talk to somebody to book a time to schedule an
It's true.
appointment.
Yeah,
So
very
yeah,
true. Yeah. Yeah. Let me make the next move now when I want to, on my time, like sort of on my time schedule.
yeah.
And, don't put any hurdles in the way to allow me to do that.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, for a software company, booking a demo, I mean, which many software companies have had that functionality for a while. But if you don't have that today, you better get on it, or you're going to be missing a lot of opportunities. So,
Well said.
Ian, I know this is a topic you really enjoy talking about, and that is conversion rate optimization and customer experience. So, what do you think we're going to see in 2022 in that regard?
Dude, do you know your crow? Do you know your conversion rate optimization? First of all, let me explain to those that don't know what conversion rate optimization is. The most common use of it is it's the rate at which visitors to your website convert in some way, and by convert I mean they take an action that moves them towards becoming a customer in some way. So that could be just what Jen was talking about with download a checklist. Could be what Ken was talking about booking an appointment. But somehow you've got your audience, and then you've got the converters in that audience, and the optimization part of that term is about how does it change over time. Are we improving our conversions, or are they dropping? The most common use of that term is website visitors to call to actions that are done. But I'd even suggest that conversion rate optimization is a metric you can and should be tracking across every single stage of your buyer's journey, whether that's on Google Ads. I mean, that's how I was first really influenced by conversion rate optimization. Is customers are spending thousands to tens of thousands of dollars a month on ads. And we wanted to ensure that we were tracking conversions through that process. And then that was optimized over time. And so that's really, really important. But you can track it as to, even emails, how many people in my audience open the email, which isn't, it kind of is a conversion metric, but it leads to the conversion metric,
Yeah.
which is clicking on an offer, clicking on our call now button, whatever it is. You should be tracking that all the way through. Yeah, I think it's so vital for people to know that, because that ultimately leads to, how much are we investing in this particular strategy or tactic? What are the results? And are we getting better and better at it over time? And we should all be looking at that. What you don't measure, you can't improve. And so that's a really important thing.
So I think there's a balancing act, sometimes because, for example, simply removing an element from a form that you've made as required can
Yeah,
make a huge difference.
absolutely.
Or like, we work with a lot of service area businesses, and we're big believers that we don't want to create a lot of obstacles to keep people from contacting the business. Um, but a lot of our customers or clients, they come back and they say, man, it'd be really helpful if I already knew the address, because that way when I get on the phone with them, I already know when we may have a service truck out in that area or something like that. And it's a balancing act. Are you getting a better qualified lead, even though it's dramatically reducing your conversion rate, or helping your business operationally to where maybe that's still a worthwhile trade-off, or do you need to maximize the conversions? And so it's interesting. It's fascinating. What impact do you see it having on search engine optimization or anything like that? Is it a factor?
Absolutely, yeah. So the biggest factor I would say, and it's very similar for search engine optimization as it is for Google Ads. Let's put those together, because how Google views the success of a Google ad and the quality of an experience somebody has there is very similar to the SEO experience, and what drives Google's algorithm to send more people to you. And yeah, it's that continuity. So the easiest way to explain it is through a Google Ads campaign where somebody types in a keyword phrase. They're looking for an attorney in your city. Google throws up a bunch of results. It then whoever clicks on a result, Google's watching through Google Analytics and various other metrics to see what happens to that person once they get to that web page. If they immediately bounce off the page and come back and search for another one, Google knows that, and Google's able to say, oh, that wasn't the type of result that people searching using those terms wants. And so, sorry, I kind of switched between SEO and ads there, but but following through on the ads, you're presented with an ad. The ad should align with the actual landing page that people are going to, and then Google knows if you've set up conversions in Google Ads or in Google Analytics. Google knows, oh, they clicked on the actual goal or conversion metric that they wanted them to do, which is usually a phone call, a form fill, something like that. And so that affects the quality then of how Google is going to then present you in the future. So it's vital for SEO. It's vital for Google Ads success. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool.
And Google's making some major changes to their ads algorithm right now too.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's, we probably have a great another topic that we need to address, which is, the changes that are coming in online advertising platforms, especially around artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence impact on marketing in general. So we'll have to table that because that's a huge topic in and of itself. But yeah, absolutely. Dan, kind of talking about advertising though, what has changed? What do you think is going to change, or what do we know is already going to be changing regarding advertising?
Well, first of all, when I say advertising, I'm going to use all advertising here. I'm going to not just the digital kind, but the offline kind as well. So it was interesting. One of the things that I just saw yesterday was that we were just talking about video. There used to be a thing of people wanting to watch, let's say, a commercial, like a TV commercial, and then you would see, okay, go on this website to see the rest of that story. It was actually like, of all the video formats, that one was like ninth rated of about 10. So it used to be kind of a cool thing to be like, oh, I'm going to go online and stuff and see what else is going on with this story. And I think that's kind of, I won't say it's totally waning, but clearly people are more interested in getting the whole story right now from whatever your ad is trying to tell me. The patience of going from one device to another to see an ad is not necessarily what they want. So if you're going to think about advertising at all in 2022, it can't be delayed gratification. I think you got to give them something pretty quick. I mean, we see these, I'm going to call them annoying as hell, Facebook ads, because the worst kind that any of us get, at least this person gets, is Facebook ads from people who talk about Facebook ads, that I'm going to sell you Facebook ads and it's going to change your life. Just scroll to the bottom of this and it's this extra special blueprint. And, oh my God, no. But those kinds of things are going to be out there. And I think with Facebook ads, again, what's going to change about that and Google ads and even LinkedIn ads is I want the whole story right now. I want to be able to click on something and get it right now. I don't want to sign up for your thing or anything like that until I get something first. So don't delay what I'm going to get from you. Otherwise, I'm out of here. Like, I don't care if it's free. And I think you're just going to see more of that. People's attention, and this has been going on since I started. And I'm going to date myself, but let's just say the internet was only a baby. And even then, there were people who were like, I don't have the patience for this. So fast forward to today, and I think that's only going to be more true, is that the attention spans are going to be like 8 seconds, if that. And so if we're going to ask somebody to go and look somewhere else for the rest of the story, and our ad is going to be the springboard, I don't think that's going to be as easy as it used to be. And so anybody who is planning an ad and creating an ad is going to have to give at least a very quick in-between gratification. Okay, so is it a checklist that I download right now? Is it a video that I can absolutely watch right now and get some great things from? Don't tell me to sign up for something because I'm not going to do it until you give me something. That's not going to work. So that's what I would say as far as advertising. And for the love of God, don't do an ad that sends me to the homepage of your website, because that does nothing. That will not work. It didn't work before, and it definitely is not going to work now. So as we're talking about ads and paid ads, you better be really crystal clear, even more than ever, about I'm going to do a Google ad, let's say, or a Facebook ad, and I'm going to send somebody somewhere. If you send me to your homepage, not only will I be gone, I'm never coming back to your brand ever again. I mean, that's really what you have to be thinking about. So that's people are changing. They're getting more impatient, I think, but that's okay. We'll up our game.
Yeah. So what about technology changes? I mean, we've seen Apple introduce, changes that are impacting Facebook advertising. We know that, Google is going to be making changes so that cookies are no longer supported. What impacts is that going to have on business? And, is it something that they should be scared about and freaked out about, or?
No, I wouldn't be. We've been having these challenges ever since. You remember when TiVo came out and people said that was going to be the death of all TV ads and things like that? Well, even now, even when we can technically skip over some ads, you still got to see some ads no matter what. And so I think technology is going to change, but and even though, yes, in some formats, let's say like Spotify, you can pay a little extra and you don't get any ads. That's true. But at the end of the day, the advertising industry is still going to be alive and well. It's been going fine for at least 100 years, and it's going to be going 100 years more. The question is going to be where it goes from here as far as where it shifts. So let me give you an example. People said newspapers are dead. Well, maybe, but does that mean that newspaper are they in that form? Maybe for print they're more dead, but that doesn't mean that the ads didn't go somewhere else or that the content didn't go somewhere else. They still want it. It's just in digital form now. So that's what people always have to keep in mind is just the pivot is going to be the location, but the message is always going to ring out. So you don't have to necessarily freak out because, oh gosh, I can't do TV ads as much as I wanted to, or, anything like that. If you're doing a true marketing hourglass and you're doing a strategy, you will never freak out about anything as far as Facebook changing or anything like that, because you've got a full-on 7-phase structure that's going to help you pivot. Your message and your strategy will help you so much in that regard that technology is always going to change. But if we didn't have electronics tomorrow, people could figure out a way to make it work if they had a marketing hourglass. That's how powerful it is.
Paul, what about, I mean, we talked a little bit about this, with Ian, but do you think 2022 is really going to be more competitive for most businesses online?
Yeah, it is.
Why?
Because what's been happening the past 2 years has forced a lot of businesses that have never been on really worried about their digital presence before, has forced them online. And they're starting, maybe before they never bothered to invest in SEO, and now they're realizing they have to. It's just people are doing more and more of their research online. And so you're going to have to compete with that. And I would add, when you were talking about your question to Dan about the whole cookieless world, let the advertising platforms worry about that. That's, that was one of the main drivers behind G4, Google Analytics 4, is the end of cookies. But I won't go any further into that. But yeah, there is going to be a lot more competition online. That's part of the reason that it's costing more and more to advertise online, no matter what the platform is, because more people are doing it. Because in the past you had a lot of businesses that a lot of their business, it was referrals or it was BNI, or it came offline, and a lot of those avenues now they're doing them virtually. But you have to be online, because the simple fact is your customer base, people get old and die. Okay. So your customer base is going to be younger, and younger people are going to do their research online. We talked about this. It was last week, where if you're dealing with a younger demographic, and you're going to be, because, that's just the way it is, they're doing most of their research online, and they might not interact with you until they've done 80-90% of their research online, and they've narrowed down to who they're going to deal with to 3 companies, and they don't even interact with you. So if you're not online in that regard and they can't find you, you've already lost. You're just not visible. And if you're not visible online, you're not going to survive.
It's more than just findability too, though, right? I mean, it's like, even if you are referred by somebody, people want to check out a business online. We don't hop in a car and drive to places like we used to pre-COVID. We're gonna hop online and we're gonna check out a business and make sure, one, they're still open, and two, do they look like a real business? So even if your objective is really just to make sure that you look like a professional business, even that has become more important than ever.
Oh yeah. And if you're a local business, then your Google My Business, which is your Google Business Profile, but most people still refer to it as GMB. But
Yeah.
that's actually going to become more important.
Yep. Absolutely.
I think that's a great point, Paul. I mean, that's we've probably said it here on this program at least once, is that people have to start to think of I was going to say GMB, but whatever they're calling Google Business Profile. I got to get used to that. That's going to be as important, I think, in some ways as your website, because not everybody is going to necessarily go right to your site. Like Google is making it so that you can stay there longer, not go to a website. Even if it is the first or second search result, they still want you to see the knowledge panel first, which means more posts, more video, more interactivity right there. And I think you're going to see only more of that.
But even that, it makes your website even more critical, because your website is the main thing that props up your Google Business Profile.
Oh, 100%.
So it's not like you can just do a good Google Business Profile and not have a website and think you're good if you're concerned about findability and search.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only property you own.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong on that. That's the no. I'm not saying
no. I just wanted to clarify. I didn't think you were saying that.
Yeah.
So,
they're both going to go hand in hand for sure.
Oh, yeah. So
and you have to
we're
link
wrapping up.
between them.
What's that?
You have to link between them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Won't go into that, but that's
so
going to become more important too.
We're wrapping up. Is there anything that you guys think we ought to quickly mention that we didn't cover today? And I'll start. I think database reactivations are huge. It's probably the thing that I think any business should do immediately if they haven't already done so. The challenge is, if you don't have a list and you don't have a strategy to build a list, get that ASAP, because that gives you the ability to get customers to come back who already know, like, and trust you. You don't have to spend nearly the cost of acquisition. And if they aren't ready to buy, or they don't need to buy, like you don't offer a product that they need to buy again, like a roofer, get them to refer you or to review you. And those are really, that stuff is never going to go away. Those things are always going to be important. Don't forget about those in 2022. Guys, what else do you have?
Sorry, I'll jump in real quick. I think the biggest thing that people have got to wrap their head around is the fact that Zoom is here to stay. I'm sorry if some have Zoom fatigue, but get over it. It can be really a change for your business as far as customer service and prospecting, and just the immediacy and the efficiency of it is extraordinary. So incorporate that into your marketing and customer service efforts. I think you'll be well served to do that.
I think one of the things that's going to be very important and is accessible to all companies in all industries for 2022 is, how can you be more reliable for your customers? And I think that's going to be important in an emotional kind of way. And that can span whether you sell an emotional product or something, super dry and unemotional. But in the past 2 years, we've seen a lot of things upended. Right now, we're dealing with supply chain issues. We're dealing with, where, depending wherever you are, distrust with your social media, distrust with your government. Sometimes your kids are home, sometimes they're not, depending on what's going on in the school. So with all the chaos going on, is there some way that you can start to be, or improve the way that you are more reliable to your customers? And that'll give a little bit of a beacon of hope in these really wild changing times.
Yep, absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
I would. Sorry, you go ahead, Paul.
Oh, I was going to say, I got a couple things. I think omni-channel, we've talked about it before. It's going to become even more important, because even 3-4 years ago, you could focus on a couple of channels and probably be okay. You can't do that anymore. So that's going to become even more important, and as in-depth content, because as informational searches increase, Google looks for in-depth content to answer those questions. So that's going to become even more important. And I'm talking about, like we talked in the past, pillar pages, hub pages, whatever you want to call them. That's going to become even more important, to build out this in-depth content across these different channels. And if you haven't started now, like Ken, you were talking about database reactivation, if you don't have a customer list, you're at a serious disadvantage. You better start building it.
Yep.
If you don't, if your website was built 15 years ago, you better take a look at that and start building that out. Same thing with your GMB profile, all these channels, because nothing exists in a silo. And we've seen this in the past with Google Ads. People think that that is its own thing, but as Ian pointed out, that is not its own thing. It works with other things. So it's becoming a more holistic approach than it ever was.
Ian,
Love
you'll
it.
get the last word.
Awesome.
Uh-oh.
And it's actually probably apropos because I think we would all agree to this, but the thing I would say that people absolutely have to look at, and it's usually the last thing that people think of, businesses think of, and that's plan strategically, implement strategically, focus on the first things first. Having a solid strategic marketing plan and sticking to it, one that defines your core difference, creates a content calendar, monitors how your success is over time. Those are all vital things about that get you an amazing return on investment. And that's ultimately what marketing's for. So flawlessly implementing the plan through the whole year through an omni-channel marketing engine approach. I truly think, like, we've been talking to lots of clients lately about their strategy. They've been hiring us to figure out their core difference. There's such a hunger for that because nobody wants to be vanilla, and they know that that affects their business. So focus on strategy first, guys. Like, get going now. Call up one of these experts. Get a strategy.
Yep. All right, cool. Well, thanks, guys. This was entertaining and enjoyable. Always learn a lot from you guys. So hopefully our listeners enjoyed this as well, and our watchers. And if you would do us all a favor and go like this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and write a review for us, that would just be fantastic, and that would be such a great holiday treat for all of us. So thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.